Today I want to tell you a story. I hope you like stories like me. It's the story of a very mysterious, intelligent, and creative creature of God. Do you know which one I'm talking about? I'll give you a hint. It lives under the sea. It is not a mammal, and it has 8 arms. That gave it away, didn't it? Yes, it's an octopus. Well, I watched a documentary story, a true story of this marine biologist who developed a personal friendship with an octopus. He never thought it would ever happen in his life. What all this creature taught him about himself. What he learned, he said, was the trust between them. And that in order for her, because it was a female, to trust him, he simply had to be there, to let her see him without touching her, without invading her territory, but simply just be there. And every day he went around her den where she lived and was just there. It took, I think, about a month of going every single day, until one day she reached out and touched him. And they have, what do you call those? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. They stick. And that's how they feel, they smell. It all comes through there. And and he didn't move. He remained there. And slowly, this trust developed between the two of them. She knew he was not like all the other sea creatures. She had never met a human before. But she trusted him. She knew he would never harm her. And the more they saw each other, the more she came out. It reminded me about our trust, with the Lord. That once we establish that all He wants is our good, we will never fear. We will want more and more to get closer to Him. Many teachings like that through this creature, this little octopus. Until one day, she completely surrendered herself to this man and attached herself to his chest as if she was hugging him with all her 8 legs, her tentacles, that's what they're called. And he just kept her there. And it was shallow water, so he had a snorkel allowing him to breathe. And she just remained there, and he held her and caressed her gently. But he said, what came like inside of me, I had never felt this love and acceptance from a human being. And he said it was the closest love to God, like a divine love. And she decided when to release and go back to her den. But in every story, there's also a sad part, a difficult part, a scary part. And one day he witnessed a shark chasing her. They are her worst enemies, like the devil. And it started to chase her, and she kept hiding into the kelp. It's called kelp. It's an algae, very tall algae. She wrapped herself, that's how intelligent these creatures are, to camouflage, you know. If this was the kelp, you know, she went around it and she hid like this around the kelp so the shark couldn't find her. But they also have an extraordinary sense of smell. And even though she was hiding, he could smell her, but he couldn't see her. And as soon as he turned away, she got out and started heading back towards her den. But unfortunately, she wasn't quick enough. And he grabbed one of her tentacles and ripped it right off. And the diver witnessed everything. And he said something very interesting now, my friends, that is very true in our Christian life as well. He said, I could have interfered. I could have killed the shark. But I would be interfering with nature, with the law of nature. And I have no right to do that. Whatever needed to take place had to take place. I could not interfere. And it's the same with us. When we see that someone is in danger of sin, when we see they're about to be attacked by the enemy, we want to interfere. We want to, but we can't, because they need to go through that fall. They need to go through that suffering in order to learn things they would never learn otherwise. It's an illustration, okay? It's an illustration to help us also understand our Christian walk. But in the laws of nature, it's not the same understanding, of course, but they have their own unique wisdom. And the diver said, it was as if my own arm had been ripped off from me. I felt her pain. I felt the anguish, the fear. But then, he said, I was mesmerized, amazed by the strength of this creature. What did she do? She went and hid in her den. For 1 week, she did not move. And he says, I was tempted to go and feed her. I was tempted, and I said, no, I must not do that. So for 1 week, she did not eat. What did she do? She healed. She healed patiently. She waited and waited. She was very, very weak. She had no strength to do anything. And that's what happens to us sometimes when we are wounded as well. And I've been there. I've been like this little octopus, cut in my heart, ripped apart through certain situations in my life where I had to go and hide. I had to shut myself away from the world, from everybody, in my own little den, in my own little secret place, and heal only in the presence of the Lord, only in the presence of my Father. No one could help me but the Lord. That little creature knew what to do by the wisdom of God, because God created these creatures with this intelligence, this wisdom. They're wiser than we are, honestly. And the diver just stayed and observed. And the miraculous thing about these creatures is that their tentacles can grow back. It grows back. God made them that way. So at first, she had a tiny little tentacle, a baby tentacle. And in about 3 weeks, it was as long as all the others. Can you imagine? And then she came right back out again as if nothing had ever happened to her, with more strength and energy than before. And the diver was astonished. She got back up again. She didn't let this situation destroy her. Isn't that what we also must do, my friends? And I know for myself, after I came out also of my hiding place, when I came out of all the pain and Jesus like stirred everything up inside me, put me through the furnace and to get rid of all the gunk in me and my false ideas and my false expectations and my wrong thinking and all that. Boom! When I came out, I was like a new person. I didn't grow new arms or legs. I grew a new heart. I grew a new heart. And because my heart had changed, my thoughts changed as well. My outlook on life changed as well. Do you understand? This is a very special story, my friends. And the diver kept observing her, and they were dancing together and playing together under the water, and how wonderful this little creature was. And he noticed also that, she would go and hunt. Her favorite food are lobsters and crabs, and how ingenious she was to capture those, creatures to eat them. But then there came a time also where she was very playful, and she played with the fish, and the fish were not afraid of her because they sensed that, oh no, she doesn't want to eat us now, she just wants to play. She had all these different, qualities in her. She was a fighter and a predator herself, and a playful and a loving. She had all these different qualities. One day, when the diver went back to see her, there was another octopus there, a male. It was time to mate. So he just backed away and observed. He filmed them. What happens to octopuses once they lay about, he said, 500,000 eggs. Can you imagine? 500,000. But out of that 500,000, maybe 50 survive. Because they're tiny, tiny little creatures at first. The sad part, or can also say the beautiful part, after she gives birth, she dies. She sacrifices her life for her offsprings. And she knows very well she's going to die after giving birth, but she does it anyways, because it's the law of nature. Right? It brought me to tears to see how the wisdom of God is also like in every creature that we look at. How she sacrifices her life for her babies. How Jesus sacrificed his life for us so that we could live. How he died for us so we could have eternal life. Eventually, it was a very painful situation for the diver who had gotten so attached to her. And he watched her diminish, like a candle, you know. And finally she just closed her eyes. And that was that. And her body went back to feeding, you know, there's never any loss in nature. And a few weeks later, when the diver went back with his son was in his mid-teens, 16 maybe, something like that. They found a baby octopus, tiny little baby octopus, and they knew it was one of her offsprings, and life goes on. Life goes on. Life goes on, my friends. How beautiful to learn about God through his creation. I discovered God through his creation more than through any church, any preacher, any book. Through his creation, because it's pure, untouched. I found him there. Well, I hope you enjoyed my little story about this beautiful little octopus. I hope it blessed you, and maybe you may use it to tell this story to your children and elaborate on it, put your own colors in it, change a few things if you want. And all I know for myself is that I will never look at an octopus the same way anymore. I used to be a bit repulsed by them at first, but after seeing this documentary, I'm in love with them. I really am. And I hope I will have the chance one day to see one face to face, and I will remember this story. God bless you.